All right, welcome everyone to our online live class session for week 2 of our entertainment market research class. This is Daniel Sandin, your instructor. We are recording this session tonight in order to make it available to those who could not be with us here live. And here is our agenda for tonight. We will review quickly the course overview and purpose. We'll take a little deeper dive into our week 2 topics and concepts and talk about those. We'll take a look at our discussion topic for this week and my expectations for the discussion. I will go over the week 2 project or assignment, and keep in mind that I will be talking about some bonus points that I'm going to add to that assignment or project that will help you to sort of enhance your score on the project. So stay tuned for that. And then I will summarize all the week 2 deliverables. We'll open for questions if we have them. And I will leave you with my office hours and contact information. Actually, not so much office hours, but contact information. And we'll talk about that when we get there. All right, so here's where we are in week 2. We want to talk about media ratings and the evolution of those ratings. Media ratings are ways that we have of measuring the audiences for broadcast, mostly broadcast TV and radio, as well as some online media as well. And so this is about ratings, how they work, what they're all about, how they developed over time, how they started and how they developed over time, and how they're still developing today. So that's what we're going to cover here in week 2. Now, remember that each week, 25% toward your total course grade is up for grabs. So here in week 2, it's the same. There's a discussion board, there's a test, and there is a project, and all those add up to 25% of your total term grade. So it's important to do your best here in week 2. Here are our topics and concepts here for week 2, and these are based on the readings and videos that we've posted for you in the Read and View section. The first one is the audience measurement business. This is from what I call the Webster textbook. It's actually the textbook that's called Ratings Analysis by Webster and al. And this is chapter 2 in that book. And it's all about the audience measurement business, sort of how it started and where it has come to and where it might be going. Okay, so that's pretty foundational to this week's topic. And then in the Shane textbook, there's a chapter 9, called the Interactive Interim, and this is more about measurements of interactive media, online and interactive media. Okay, so chapter 9 in the Shane textbook is all about that. So in the Webster textbook, it's really about sort of traditional media, broadcast media, and some internet. But in the Shane textbook, it's really a lot more about, sort of today's world and the interactive world, the online world. Then there's a really good video on the revolution of sports analytics that's posted in that section. And then finally, there's a very important recorded lecture for week 2. And the lecture will sort of help to put together some of these concepts for you. And you may find that the material in the lecture is pretty critical to the questions in the quiz. So make sure that you listen to that lecture before you engage the quiz, or perhaps while you engage the quiz. All right? All right, so let's talk about our discussion. I want to go get a better copy of this so that we can read it better here. All right, so here's our discussion for week 2. It's called Media Ratings. And by way of overview, it says, in the entertainment world, it is important to understand how media content is measured and how those measurements and ratings can impact decisions about what content will be continued or discontinued. This week we're going to discuss media ratings for TV, radio, cable, digital, mobile, and on demand. And so for your initial post, what we've done is we've posted 4 different articles here to get you sort of started. And we want you to read all 4 of them. First one is called Radio Insider Explains Ratings and Commercials. This is from the San Francisco Chronicle from a few years ago. And it's a good one about the radio business, essentially, the ratings business in radio. The next one is called The Future of TV is Here. Can Cable Survive? This is from Forbes. The next one is Returning Broadcast Shows Suffer a 25% Ratings Drop. This is from Advertising Age, and it's also about broadcast TV, essentially. And then finally, Media Ratings Council issues interim guidance for mobile viewability and adds a not quite viewable category. This is also from Advertising Age, and it's about mobile media. Okay, so handheld, what you view on your tablet or your mobile phone or whatever. So I think you'll find that interesting. So we want you to read all 4 of those, and then we want you to share your thoughts on some of the following questions below. Now, again, when I say some of the following, I want you to choose at least 2 out of these 5 questions. You can answer more of them if you like, but you should pick at least 2, and your answers to those 2 should be pretty thorough. And it takes at least a paragraph each to answer them thoroughly. All right, so a minimum of 2 paragraphs if you choose 2 of these questions, which are, number 1, which articles provided information that you found most useful? And it could be more than 1. Next, what are some of the most important ideas presented in, one article or several articles? You can answer that based on, one of the articles that stood out to you, or, if there was more than one. Number 3, what do you agree with in the articles and why? Number 4, what do you disagree with in the articles and why? And finally, what other videos, websites, or resources have you seen on this topic, or can you find and recommend? So those are the 5 questions. We want you to pick at least 2 of those and answer them thoroughly. There's a note here that says, more research is not required, but if you do represent the thoughts, ideas, words, or images of others, be sure to give credit and cite your sources by indicating the author, date, title, and a website link where this information was found. So that's your initial post. It's due by Wednesday night. And for your response post, I want you to remind you that for the response, we're looking for a complete post in response to one of your classmates. And we want you to go beyond, I agree with you and here's why. Or good post and here's why. Okay, that's a good start for a complete response post, but it is not by itself a complete response post. We want you to use the RISE model to elevate the discussion further beyond I agree and here's why, or beyond a good post and here's why. We want you to think about, where should this conversation be going? What should the next topic be that we haven't talked about already? How should we think about this topic further, differently maybe than we've already talked about? Okay, so we want you to take the discussion to the next step by either suggesting, where it should go, or by asking an open-ended question that says, well, what about this or what about that? Okay. It shouldn't be a yes or no question. It should be open-ended, a question that has to be answered with, a paragraph or a statement rather than with a yes or no or a one-word answer. All right, so that's our discussion here for week 2. And I think you'll find these articles interesting. So I think we'll have a real good discussion this week. For our project, I'm going to go out and get a better copy of this too. So we can read it. Okay, so here's our project, Understanding Media Ratings. This is a very straightforward and interesting project, I think. It doesn't take a long time to do, but you kind of have to get your bearings, and it really helps if you've already read the read and view materials and seen the video to give you some context for this project. So by way of overview, it says media ratings help content creators and media outlets understand who is their audience and how their content is performing among their intended audience and compared to their competitors in a specific market. For this project, you will explore Nielsen TV ratings data to analyze certain shows and the audiences that they reach. Okay, you'll obviously need your laptop for this. You'll also need to download the sample Nielsen TV ratings report that we have provided for you in this section. And also there's an answer sheet for you to fill out to answer the questions we have here. I'll show you those in a minute. But first, we want you to, okay, so it says to prepare for this, we want you to download the report. We want you to complete the read and view section, and we want you to download the answer sheet. Let me show you those right now. Here is the sample TV report from Nielsen. This is a report on what audiences watch different shows during the week. And so what we see here is that this is from West Palm Beach and Fort Pierce, Florida. It's from, you can see here, 7 o'clock p.m., both weeknights and weekend nights, okay, on different broadcast TV channels in the local area there, okay? So we see, for instance, on Monday through Friday, Wheel of Fortune is on this WPBF, but on the weekends, it's different shows, okay? On WPEC, the next one at 7 o'clock, is CBS 12 News. And on Sunday, it's 60 Minutes, okay? The next one, Monday through Friday, it's Entertainment Tonight. Looks like Saturday, it might have been Notre Dame pregame football, probably. And then Sunday, some kind of a football something or other. And so on. So I think the next one is Without a Trace on Ion TV. The next one is Star Trek Next Generation, okay, on Monday through Friday, and again, different shows on the weekend. Okay, so you go down the list, there's different TV shows. For the 7 o'clock slot, here's the 7:15 slot, which is not much different. And then 7:30 slot, a different slate of shows begins here. Now, the report ends after 2 of these, but it's enough for us to get a feel for what's on one of these TV reports. Then we go across the top here, we see that we have households here, and we have ratings for these different households, okay? Rating is here in this red box. RTG means rating. For all households in this location, all right? And so there's a red A above this box, there's a red B above this box, a red C above this box, and a red D above this box. So let's go to our, not there. Let's go back to our project and see what we want to create here. Answer the following on the project answer sheet. Well, let me show you the answer sheet because these questions are what shows on the answer sheet, and that's what you're going to fill out. So here's our answer sheet for this. It's A through H, okay, questions A through H, and that's all there is to it. The first 5 questions it says here, A through E, are based on that sample TV report that I just showed you, okay? So let's take a look at what these are. A, which of these shows has the highest household ratings? And so what you would do is go to that red A on the report and follow it down that column, the column where that red box is. It's the rating for total households. So what you want to do is find the highest rated show in that column. The highest number in that column is going to be correspond with the highest rated show, okay? Go down that column, find the highest rating, the highest number, and see what show that is associated with, and that's your answer to A here, and it's worth 10 points. B, which do you think is the best to reach adults 18 to 34? So Under that red B on that report is a column that starts with that red box, and it says 18 to 34. It's adults from age 18 to 34, and you go down that column and find the highest rated program, okay? And so the best program to reach adults 18 to 34 is the highest rated in that column. Find that, come back, tell us what program that is, and that's worth 10 points. Same thing for C and D. C is which show should you buy if you want to reach women age 18 plus, okay? So the big red C is going to be over that column. Find the highest rated program in that column. D, same thing, except now it's for men 18 and older, okay? Find the highest rated program. And then E is what is the designated market area for this report? So those 5 questions are based on that TV report we just looked at. And then F, it says, based on our reading, explain the difference between an actual measurement and an estimate. Okay, so there's some discussion in our reading about actual measurements versus estimates. You should find that material. You could also look up the definitions of these, but you want to sort of put it in the context of what the reading is about, okay? So the difference between an actual measurement and an estimate, that explanation is worth 20 points. G is a very simple math problem, essentially. We give you the problem, and we give you 2 pieces of it, and we ask you to calculate the third piece. So G, and this is again, you will be helped on this if you read our readings before you attempt these. Using the formula rating divided by share equals HUT. Okay, you'll find in the reading that HUT means households using television. So the rating divided by the share equals HUT, HUT. If The Voice, which is a TV show, has a rating of 12 and a share is 25, what is the HUT level? All right. So you take that rating, you divide it by the share, and you calculate the HUT level. Now there's a little reminder here underneath that says, remember, these numbers represent percentages. So you should perform the calculation with this in mind. So a rating of 12 really is a 12% or a 0.12. And a share of 25 really is a 0.25 or a 25%. So you should perform your calculations based on those percentages. You'll get a number for HUT, and then you can translate that back into a HUT level number. All right, that's worth 15 points. And then H is very similar. It's just a turning around of that calculation. It says using the formula HUT times share equals rating. What is the rating of The Voice, which is a TV show? For adults 25 to 54, if the share is 30 and the HUT is 58. So again, there's the same note. It says these numbers represent percentages, so you should perform the calculation with this in mind. So that share of 30 really means 0.30 or 30%. Your HUT number is really 0.58 or 58%. And you should use those figures to do your calculation and then translate your result back into a ratings number. That's worth 15 points. So this is all there is to our project this week. I think it's interesting. I think it's, you learn something based on what our reading is about what ratings are, what they mean, how they're calculated. And you get to do a little bit of a sample of it here in week 2. That's all there is to it, really. So you submit it as you normally would. You save that answer sheet. Put your name on it. I would prefer somewhere. And before we leave the project and before you hand that in, I want to make some bonus points available to you who are either here live on this session or who are listening to the recorded session later this week. I'm making some bonus points available to you, and you are the only students in the class who will know about these bonus points. But that's one of the values of either being here with me or listening to this recording later. And so there is, in our reading this week, there is a section in one of our chapters called The Benefits and Drawbacks of Online Advertising. And I want you to name and briefly explain in your own words 3 of the benefits and 3 of the drawbacks of online advertising as mentioned in this week's reading. Now, I'm looking at it right now myself, and I see that there are 7 listed benefits, and there are 8 listed drawbacks of online advertising. I'm only asking you for 3 of each, but I'm asking you to explain them in your own words, okay? So don't use the words word for word that they use here, but understand what they're talking about and give me those 3 benefits in your own words and 3 drawbacks in your own words of online advertising. Okay, pretty straightforward. If you answer those completely and accurately and add them somewhere on your answer sheet, just put bonus points and put your answers there. I will add up to 7 points to your project score for week 2. So if you get an 85 on it, and then you answer these bonus points accurately and completely, I will add 7 points and you'll have a 92 instead of an 85. So I hope that's helpful to you. And I want to do that for you who are taking the time to be with me here or to listen by way of the recording. All right, so I'm going to summarize now our week 2 deliverables, and I always start my summaries with not really a deliverable, but something that's very important, and that is to make sure that you review all the material in the Read and View section. So make sure you read the Webster textbook, Chapter 2, the Shane textbook, Chapter 9, watch that 60 minutes sports video on sports analytics. Make sure you listen to the lecture for week 2 that is recorded and is down at the bottom of the Read and View section. It'll be very helpful to you on the quiz. The discussion posts on media ratings, the first one is due by Wednesday night before midnight. The second, response post by Sunday night before midnight. And then our project or assignment here for this week on understanding media ratings, with the answer sheet that I showed you a few minutes ago. Don't forget to add your answers to the bonus questions to that answer sheet to maximize your score on the project. That's all due by Sunday night before midnight. And then there is a quiz or test here in week 2, and that's due by the end of the class week as well. There's a note of caution here at the end. This is just for those who have taken the course previously and are returning to it again. And it just says don't use the same deliverables that you handed in before. You have to do new ones, or you have to substantially change, improve, or correct your previous stuff in order to be able to hand it in here. And so if you have questions about that, just let me know. So for those who are here live with me, if you have a question, now's the time to either unmute your mic and ask the question, or you can type it into the chat function there at the bottom of the control panel, and I'll see it and answer it. While you think about that or do that, let me just remind you of my contact information. My email address is there on the screen, my office phone. Messaging me on the LEO platform is a very good way to get an answer fairly quickly. I have office hours listed here. I really should have taken these off because we're kind of de-emphasizing office hours for the sake of just saying, if we, contact me. If you need help, contact me. Contact me whenever you need help. If I'm not immediately available, leave me a message. I'll get back with you as soon as I can. I'll help you immediately if I have the time. If I don't, we can make an appointment and get on the phone or get on Skype or get on GoToTraining together and get your questions answered and get you on your way to success here in week 2. All right? So I don't see any questions posted here, so I'm going to assume that we don't. Well, The readings available through PDF. Well, the readings, so the chapter readings are on Safari Books Online, and there are links directly to that in the Read and View section. The other readings, the video is not a PDF. I don't think there are any PDF readings. The report, the TV report that I was talking about for the project is a PDF document, so hopefully that helps. The answer sheet, though, is a Word document, and you shouldn't have any trouble, I think, with that. So everything should be available to you to be able to read and view and move on. But if you do have trouble with anything like that, just make sure to let me know as soon as possible. All right, hope that's helpful. And that should do it for tonight. I want to thank you for being here with me, either live or by way of the recording, and my very best to you as you work on your week 2 learning activities. All right, good night. So, Frederick, I'm still here.